Hello, welcome to the third part of this citation series. And this has been a wonderful journey from installing the EndNote application using the free version to using EndNote and Google Scholar to cite your academic papers, your project works, and so on and so forth. And then this part, we are going to take it slowly because this has most of the very difficult aspects, which I'm trying to simplify. And that's just because there are so many journals that are available from anthropology to zoology, and all these journals are requesting different formats in their referencing style. And in fact, if you are not able to use their style that they have requested, they might reject your papers. Okay, your supervisors, your lecturers might reject your project works just because you are not using the style that they are requesting. So this is a very important part of our series. And please, for those just joining this part of the series, I will request that you go back to watch the lecture 1 and lecture 2, where we dealt with the installation process and citation with Google Scholar respectively, just so that you can understand where we are coming from, and then you can actually go into this part effectively. Okay. All right. Now, if you remember, in our previous section, we referenced a paragraph, okay? And we had about 3 different papers that we cited. So we have the Obin et al., the Liu, and then the Shi et al. All these are, Jenna and I dealt with it in our previous video. And so at the end of the day, we had our reference at the bottom of the document. So it doesn't matter if you have about 100 pages for doctoral thesis or maybe 50 pages for a master's thesis or whatsoever. At the end of the day, all your references will be at the end of your conclusion or whatever appendix that you have. And then now I bring here a requested format. So this format is actually coming from, let's say, a journal that you want to publish from or probably your lecturer is requesting you to have this format. And this is one of the very complex, unique formats. So I'm just using this for this video so that if you come across any simplified one, you can easily do. Okay. Mostly we don't see citations before a reference. Okay, so this is very, very unique. And again, you normally see a surname and then first name, but here we are having initials of the first and middle name before the surname. So this is also very unique, and we need to have this. Again, you don't have any full stop after the author list. And here we have a full stop. You need to take it off. There is also this end sign, which we don't have here. We need to take it off just to suit it. So this is the format that our Gina is requesting us to do. And we need to make sure that all these things come in format with that. Okay. So that's basically what we'll be doing. Now, to the best approach, the best approach to do this is to use an iterative manner or process to resolve this. And when I say iterative process, what I mean is you need to look at what is being requested, go back to the EndNote and fix it, okay, step by step. And that is very, very important. Look at the first part of your requested format, fix it. Okay, for instance, this one we have the citation. There is no citation in ours, so we need to fix that. Go back, check whether it is right, then you move to the next step. And that is basically one of the most effective ways of resolving some of these formats that we will be seeing along the line. Okay, during your writing process, there are so many complex ones, and this is one of them. Okay, so we'll go all the way to the page, okay, number, the issue, the year, and then typically you can see that the year comes immediately after the author list, but here they are saying no, we shouldn't do that. We should rather put it at the latter part of the referencing. So this is what we are going to do. First of all, how do we approach this? Let's open our EndNote that we did in our previous section. Okay, so we'll see EndNote. Open it up. And then if you remember in our previous section, we have already imported 3 references as I've already talked about. So these are all there, okay? And in this video, we are just going to focus on the library tab and the tool tab, okay? First of all, let's use the tool tab. Now, the tool tab has output styles and so many, but here we are just going to use the output style. But remember, if you go back to your Word document, what you have here, the style you have here is the APAC's format. Okay, we want to edit this to a new style. Now, even let's call our new style maybe this journal, we want to call this journal infections. Okay, infections, okay, infections journal. So the name of this requested format journal is a infections journal. So we want to edit our format to suit this journal called infections journal. Okay, and we are going to edit the star APACs to that. Okay, all right. So we click on the tools, go to output styles, and then this is edit APACs. Okay, so we click on that and a new window opens up. You go through that. I mean, on the left panel, there are so many things. This tells you about the style, okay, everything about it, and the generation or the edition that you are dealing with, who formatted this style, and so on and so forth, okay? Go to the punctuations, whether there should be spaces after colon or semicolon, and so on and so forth. The anonymous works, whether if there are no, if there are no author, we should use the APA specifications, the page numbers. Sometimes, some journals are requesting you to use the full range of numbers. Okay, so for instance, here we have 123 to 125. So if the journal or the paper you are citing is actually occupying the page numbers 123, 124, and 125, you need to list it. In some journals, they will say no. If you have it as 123, 124, 125, just write 123-5. Okay, like this one. Okay, like that, abbreviate the last page number. So this one. So, but this one, we are just going to use the full range of pages. Okay, so we will leave it as it is. Now, the journal names, we will come back to this, but at the moment, we are using the full journal name, So if you come here, you see that we have emerging microbes and infections, virus research, and BMC infectious diseases. So this is the full journal name. We don't want that. We want the abbreviated format. Okay, we will fix that one, okay, later on. Okay, so we will fix that one before we come. So we'll come back to this later. Okay, and then we have the sections, whether to create the bibliography at the end of the document, which is the most common one. So that's basically what we are seeing here, or whether to create it at the end of each section. Nobody wants to have all this bibliography within your writing. Okay, so normally we'll go with this common type. Okay. And then we have the citation, the intercitation. Actually, most of these journals will have similar intercitation. So today's video, we are not dealing with different different formats of the intercitation. What is most varying is the bibliography, the end of your document, the reference list. We want to fix that because that is most varying, and that is what we want to fix. Okay, and that comes under what we call the bibliography. Okay, all right, so we are going to create the bibliography at the end of the document. We have already looked at that, and the first thing, as I've said, is to use the iterative process. Okay, now we go back to our Word document, and the first thing to do is we need to bring citations at the end of your at the start of your reference. Here we don't have it. Okay, here we don't have it, so we need to bring it at the start of your reference. How do we do that? We go back to this, click on layout, okay, and then you see start each reference with. So we click on this insert field and then select citation. Okay, and that's it. Now, do we have anything at the end of the reference? No. Okay, apart from the page number, nothing. So we are going to leave this as it is. Okay, we are not going to add anything to this, and then we leave it there. Okay, Now we are doing the iterative process. So let's save this as, okay, save as. That means you are going to edit the C's, APA C's format to a new format, okay? And remember, our name of the journal is infections journal, okay? Is it infections journal? Yes, infections journal, okay? So we will save this name, infections journal. Is the journal capital or, yeah, capital J? Okay, so we'll leave it there. So capital J, infections journal, okay, and save. Okay, now we have infections journal, okay, so that's the name. And then we come here, okay, you are not done. You need to select the style, okay. This infections journal is not here, okay, it's not here. So we will just say select another style, and then we will look for infections journal within this. Okay, so we go all the way to I, infections, okay. Okay, infections journal is here, infections journal. And this infections journal, we just say, okay, okay. All right, good. Wow. So we now have our citations coming before the references, but we have encountered a problem. Now you can see that the parentheses, there's no space between the brackets and the first letter of the first name, or the say of the same name, and we need to bring that space in between, like this one. Okay, there is a space here, so we need to bring that space. All right, so we will introduce the space. Take note of that. We will introduce the space. But there is a major issue here. That major issue, or even if you like, let's fix the space first. Okay, that's very simple. Now, to fix the space, you need to just put your cursor here just after the citation, and then just press on the space bar. Now, once you click on the space bar, it's going to introduce a dot. Okay, and that dot indicates that there is a space that is going to be introduced after the citation. Okay, and then the rest will follow. Okay, so let's save this again. Okay, iterative process. This time we are not going to say save as, we are just going to say save because it is already in the system. So save, go back, and then update, because already the style is infections journal. So we only have to update the citations. All right, now when you save that or update that, you see that now we have a space here. Okay, so we have solved the first part of the problem. Now the second part of the problem is that in our requested infection journal format, we have the first name as abbreviated, second name abbreviated, and then the surname follows. Here we have the surname, comma, first name abbreviated. That is not what we want. We want BM coming before the surname. Now, the other thing is that there is also no space between the abbreviations. Okay, so we need to also take note of that. Okay, so that is it. So first name abbreviated, second name abbreviated, no space in between, and then the surname comes. And then after that, we have comma, and then it follows for the second, third author, and so on and so forth. And then there is no sign, end sign here. So we need to also take off that end sign of that name, okay, because we don't see that over here. Now, one thing you need to also take note is that sometimes you have so many authors and you want to introduce whether there should be dots and then the last person will come. All these things can be resolved in one space. Okay, so that's basically why I want us to take note of that. So we are going to resolve the first, second name as abbreviations, and then the surname comes, no space in between the first, second name abbreviations, and then we are going to take off the end sign. Okay, all right, let's go back to EndNote editing. Okay, right, now we come here and then we are done with the citation, so we can move from layout, and then we click on the author name. Okay, now here what you have is Smith Jane. Smith Jane, because the Jane is the first name and the Smith is the surname. So that is what we have here. Surname and then the other names. We don't want that. We want first name, second name, and whatsoever. Okay. So we go back and change this Smith Jane to Jane Smith, because Jane is the first name, Smith is the second name. For the other authors, we do the same. John Doe instead of Doe John. Okay, whether Doe, John or Doe John, we want John Doe. Okay, so we will select John Doe. As is because we want the first letter of the first name to be abbreviated, to be capitalized. So ideally you would expect Bilal to be capital B, then small I, and the rest. Okay, we don't want small caps, okay, over there. So we will just leave this as it is, as is. So the second name will also start with a capital letter, and that's the normal thing we all do. Okay, so we will leave it as it is. But the key thing is that the initials, remember, it comes with B.M, no space in between. Currently, there is a space here, so we will just click on the drop down, and then we select the second one. Okay, you can see that there's a difference between A dot space B dot. We don't want that. We want A dot B dot. Okay, so we click on that. Okay, and I think this will fix the name order. Okay, the name order. So for the names, we will just go back to File and then Save. Not save as, because already it's in the system again. So we just go here and then say Update. Wow. So now we have B.M and Obin. Okay, A.D. Okay, it follows through. But again, there is this end sign which we need to take off, okay, so that we will now arrive at our answer. And lastly, there is no full stop, okay, but we'll fix that later. But let's try and remove the end sign. Okay, we go back here, and this time we are dealing with the author list, not the author name. So we just click on author list, and you can see that in between 1 to 100 authors, it is saying we need to put a comma. That is fine. I mean, we have in between each of them, there's a comma, but there is this sign after the last but one author. Okay, so that's what it is saying here, that before the last one, we need to introduce this sign. No, we don't want that, so we just delete it. Okay, and then we leave it there. Okay, and then here to we delete it. Now, please take note here. If I put the cursor here, you can see that there is a space between the comma and that. If I go further to this, to just introduce it, the next field after the author list might probably come just after that. You don't want that to happen. And that's why you are introducing a space. Okay. Now, let's assume that we are leaving it just after the comma. If we save this, okay, and then we update, okay, see this, okay, so it has removed the sign, the end sign, but it has introduced the abbreviated first name just after the comma. You don't want that. Okay, so there's no space. Okay, that's why your spaces are very, very important in terms of editing your reference style. So we go back and then bring back our space. Okay, very, very critical. Bring your space so that that space will be there. Let's save it again. Okay, and then update. You see, so now the space is back. Okay, so you need to be very careful when you are making this editing to your reference styles. Okay, now the next thing is that we can see clearly that there is no full stop after the last name, but here there's a full stop, and again there is no year, so we need to take off the year. The year is supposed to come at the last part of the referencing. How do we do this? We go back to our EndNote window, editing window, and then click on templates. That is where we can resolve this. But even before that, let me just touch on this. Okay, for instance, abbreviated author list. Now here you have several options. You have about 3 options here. List all author names. So some of these papers will say if there are even 100 authors, list all of them. You have to select that. Okay, now if you have, let's say, so many authors, but the journal is requesting you to list, let's say, 7 authors or 6 authors, and then introduce ITA, you can select the second option. Okay, and this one, we are using this one. So if it is 8 or more, we want to list the first 6 authors, introduce a comma, and then the 3 dots. Okay, then we will bring the last author name. Now, that is what we are using. Okay, so you can see that in our third paper, we have introduced 6 authors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we have introduced comma and then 3 dots, and the last author will come. So basically, this is what we are using now. So it depends on what you are using. I mean, for us, we want to use 6 authors, comma, 3 dots, and then the last author. So even if there are 1,000 author on that paper, just list the 6, introduce 3 dots after the comma, and then list the last person on that author list. Okay, but the key thing here is that we want to take off the year out, and then we want to remove the dots, the full stop from this reference style. Okay, so basically that's what we have. So we'll go back to templates, and the templates, we have so many types of references. Okay, we are interested in the journal articles. We are not dealing with conference papers, conference proceedings, dictionary. We are not dealing with electronic article or electronic book. We are dealing with a journal article. So we need to look for journal article section, and that is what is here. So over here, we are going to do all our manipulations to suit what has been requested. Now, in our journal article section, we have the author, and we don't have any full stop. Okay, so you can see author, no full stop. So we need to take off the full stop here. Okay, so we'll take it off. Okay, so we delete the full stop here. You can see that there are two full stops. One is indicating that there should be a full stop after the author list. That is what we don't want. Okay, so we will delete that one. But this one is a separator, and we saw it when we were doing the citation. Anytime you click on the space bar, it will introduce another dot. Like right now, if I want to introduce another space, I will just say that, and it introduce that dot. Okay, we don't want too many spaces, so we just add one space. Okay, that is fine. And then there's no year. You can see that there's no year after the title. Immediately after the author list, then there is this title of your paper, okay, coming through. So we need to take off all this out, okay, of the system. We need to take it off from our reference, okay. Nothing will be there like this, okay. Dot, year in bracket, and another dot. It will not be there. So we'll go back to our EndNote and then look for that year. Okay, look for that year. This is it. Okay, so we just remove this. All right, there are two dots, there are two spaces. In other words, there are two spaces. We only want one. Okay, now the year would have to come to the last part of it. Where can we find the year? We can find the year just before the page. Okay, just before the page. So we can fix it here, just before the page. So just before the page, we can fix it here. Okay, right. So you have the journal, the volume, issue, year, and then the page. So the year is the last but one. We will fix it later. But for now, we have the author, which is correct. Okay, we have the author with no full stop, and the title. Okay, let's see whether that is there. The author and then the title. Now, do we have full stop after the title? No. Okay, so the title ends here. In Australia, no full stop. We need to take it off. Okay, so we go back to our EndNotes and remove the full stop after the title. Okay, where is it? So you take off the full stop after the title. Okay, so now you have author, space, title, yes, title, and there's a full stop here. Okay, so we need to remove that full stop. Now, I remove the full stop after the translated title because in some papers that you cite, you have a translated, maybe the paper is in the Chinese or Spanish, and they have a translated title. So that title will come again. So whether main title or translated title, there shouldn't be any full stop. That's basically what the journal wants, okay, or your lecturer wants. So just take it off. And now you have the author space, title space, translated title space, and then the reviewed item space. Okay, so we don't want the reviewed item also with a full stop. So we'll just take it out. Now, if there is a reviewed item in that journal citation, it will come. If there is nothing, it will ignore it. In this case, there is nothing like reviewed item, so it will just ignore it. So you can leave it or you can clean it out. I will just leave it because it is not there. If it is there, it will prompt it. If it is not there, it will ignore it. Okay. All right. So now I think this is also fixed. Okay. Now, before we go to the journal name, which is the next field, let's save and then update and see what we have. Okay. So we will save, okay, and then go back to the Word document and say update. Okay, now what do we have? I think everything is fixed now. Okay, so the names come and all that. There's no full stop, that's good. And then the journal name comes, okay, and then there's no full stop, that's fine. But the next field is that we have the journal name, virus research, in full, and here we have virus res, full stop. We need to fix this. We need to fix this. How do we fix this? The first thing we need to do is to go back to our EndNote, okay? Go back to our EndNote. But even before we come to EndNote, take note that, you see, before I started this video, I mentioned the journal names, and I came here and I showed you abbreviation 1, abbreviation 2, abbreviation 3, and so on and so forth. So because this is requesting the abbreviated format, you need to now edit the abbreviated format, okay? So you go back to this and go to template, go back to your journal, and then you see that your journal article page area has your journal. Whether it is going to be abbreviated or not, it is not here, okay? So how do we fix it? Go back to your original EndNote window, which is this one. Go to library, open term list, and over here you see alter term list, journal term and keyword. What we want to edit is the journal term list, so that if the journal has a full name, it will come. If it is abbreviated, it will come. So we click on that, okay? And we already have a lot of journals that has already been populated, okay? But sometimes you may not have this there, so you just have to go to list, and then you say import list. So if you click on this import list, what will happen is that if you are dealing with, let's say, archaeology or anthropology or astronomy, there might probably be some journals there already. So you want to import all these journals within this field, okay? So you can select one of them and then just import, okay? For instance, I already have my medical list already there, but let me say that I want to import, let's say, law, okay, law. So I click on law, and then I say open, okay, and it will import 593 different law journals, okay, into my EndNote libraries, okay, and that will be added to my term list, okay. So basically that is what it means by that. So once we click on the term, every journal in the area of law or medical or whatever you import will be here, okay. Now, the abbreviation, we need to be very sure that our abbreviation is going to follow what we have, okay. So at the moment, we don't have it like that, okay. So we go back to this, okay, go back to the main window, and then make sure that our infections journal conforms with our abbreviation, okay. So we are going to search for infections journal if it is there. If it is not there, we need to create. So we go back and then search for infections journal, okay, infections journal. So you just have to go step by step and look for infections, okay, journal, if it is there. Okay, we have infection, and immunity, infection control. We don't have infection journal. So that means our journal name that we are editing is not part of this list. So what do? We will just create a new term and then type in infections journal. That is the name of our journal, infections journal in full. Our abbreviation, if you look at this abbreviation, you see the first abbreviation comes with every abbreviation comes with a dot, okay. So let me see this, just cancel this before and let's look through. So the abbreviation 1 comes like an abbreviation and a full stop, the next abbreviation and full stop. So there are full stops all over, but abbreviations 2 do not have any full stop at all. And sometimes some of the journals will have abbreviation 3, okay. So it depends. And you see, this is where you have the sign coming in and all that. So what we want is the journal name abbreviated without any full stop. This full stop that we have introduced here is coming from the templates, so we will solve that later. But for now, what we want to do is to introduce abbreviation 2, which will conform to this one. So we are going to create a new term, okay. So infections journal, which is the full name of our journal that we are trying to edit. Then the abbreviation 1 will be infect full stop journal full stop. That is what we want, okay. Journal full stop. Now abbreviations 2, we don't introduce full stop at all. So we say infect full stop, general. Sorry, we just say infect, no full stop, general, no full stop. Okay, so the difference between abbreviation 1 and abbreviation 2 is that abbreviation 1 has full stop after every abbreviation, and abbreviation 2 doesn't have full stop at all. Okay, that's what we want to do, so that once we go back to our general name, we can select abbreviation 2 and it will just pick it from there. Okay, so infections general has the full name. Abbreviation 1 will be infect, full stop, gen, full stop. Abbreviation 2 will be infect, gen, no full stop. Abbreviation 3, we can leave it as it is, because there is no, some papers will come like infection genetics, infection and genetics general. So in that case, you want to bring end as the sign to that. But for now, we just want to keep it very simple and make it infect gen as abbreviation 2, infect full stop, gen full stop as abbreviation 1, and infections general as full general name. Okay, then we will save this general. Okay, we save this general, say okay, and then close it up. Okay. Okay, now we can now search for the name of this general and see whether it is there. Okay, so we go back and then search for the term list. Okay, so infection general, let's go through and see whether we will see our general that we have created. Infection. Okay, go down a bit and we hope that we can see this infection general. Okay, infection general. Okay, so it's here. So infection general, that's our full name. Abbreviation 1 is infect.gen. And then abbreviation 2 is infect gen, just like that. There's no abbreviation 3 that we created, so that is fine. We have this infection general now as a new term general that we have created. Okay, so we will close it. Okay, now what we will do is to go back to this editing panel of EndNote and go back to where we started from. Okay, so this general is there. We go back to general names, and then now we will select abbreviation 2. We don't want full general name. You set abbreviation 2, and then now we will what? Save this one. Okay, it's already in the system. Infection general is already in the system, so we will just say abbreviation 2, and then we will update this citation. Now, see, this is very nice. Look at this. Virus research. Now it has taken the abbreviation 2, but the issue is that it is abbreviated. This one is not, it is italicized. This one is not italicized. And it also comes with a dot. Okay, it comes with a dot. So we need to introduce that dot. Okay, we need to introduce that dot in our system. So we go back to this. Okay, go back to this and then go back to our templates. Okay, good. Now your template, you go down to where you have your journal article, and you can see clearly here that it is italicized. So you can highlight it, and then, you highlight the whole thing, and then disable this italics. Okay. Now the other thing we need to also take note is that this issue number is also italicized. Here it was not italicized. Okay. So we need to also remove that from the issue name, so the volume name. Okay, so the volume name is italicized, so we will also highlight here. We will highlight this one, and then we will disable the italics. Okay, now the next thing is that we also see that there is a full stop, but here there is rather a comma. Okay, there's rather a comma. It's rather supposed to be full stop. So we will introduce this full stop. Okay, and then we introduce that full stop here. Okay, right. We will introduce the full stop here and then see what will happen. Now the other thing is that we can just look through it step by step. But you see here there is no comma here, but here there is a comma and there is no space. So we can introduce, we can remove the comma and then create a space after the volume number. Okay, so where is the volume number? This is the volume. Okay, there is no comma after the volume and issue. Okay, but you will just delete that okay, and it is supposed to have a space. Remember, if as it is, there's actually no space between the volume issue and the year. Okay, if you want to leave it, you can leave it that way and then check back to see. So let's save it. Okay, let's save it and then update it. See what happens. Okay, good. So now you have the virus race full stop, virus race full stop. Fantastic. Then 341, which is the volume issue number, and there is no space in between, like I said. But here there is a space, so we need to go back and introduce our space. Okay, so we will go back here, and then because the cursor is already between that and the year, we just say space bar, and that space bar will create a dot, and that dot simply means there is now a space. Okay, we will save it. Okay, so you are using the iterative process to achieve whatever. And you see, the good thing is that just use one of your references to solve it, and then all the others will pick it up. Okay, so we just update it, and then now we have a space just like this. The other thing is that after the year there is a dot here, but here there is no dot, there's rather a comma. Okay, and the last thing is that after the page number there is no full stop. Okay, here there's no full stop, here there's a full stop. It might not matter, but again, this is what your lecturer or the journal is saying you should use. So you have to make sure that you change this dot to a comma, and then you remove this full stop as well. Okay, so that will be the last part. Come here, and then after the page number there is no full stop, so we will delete that full stop. This one is a separator. Okay, and then after the year there is a full stop, but here is saying that you should rather introduce a comma. Okay, so we go back to that, and then you can see that there is, you can see that after the year there is a full stop. We don't want that full stop, we will just remove it and rather introduce a comma. Okay, a comma. And then this DOI you are seeing, normally some of the journals you have the DOI already attached, so it will just populate. If there is nothing like that, it will ignore it like that. Okay, now let's save this. I think this should be the last part. Okay, so save, and then you update. Okay, wow, wow, wow. So now this has been resolved. Okay, so wow, 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 wow. So this is, so we've been able to resolve that. Okay, so let's look through it. We have everything resolved. Obinita, the citation is also there. The outer list comes in. Okay, and then you have the title without any full stop. The virus research has been there. It is no more italicized with a full stop, no comma again. And then we have been able to change the full stop after the year to a comma. Okay, and basically we have the page numbers, and this is how we can use EndNote to resolve some of these very complex format. Okay, this was a very long lecture, and that's just because most of your referencing will be by editing already existing format, whatever requested format you are looking for. Okay, thank you for joining, and in our next episodes we'll be looking at various aspects of data analysis using the R programming tool. I will request that you subscribe, you share, and then you comment. Thank you very much for joining, and see you in our next video.